It's done.
All right, everyone, welcome to the Monday, November 28th edition of the MMAOB Daily Podcast. I'm your host, as always, Adam Martin, joined by my co-host here on Mondays, Mr. Big Marcel. Back to the Monday schedule, Marcel, back to normal, back to usual. How's everything with you, my friend?
Everything going well, man. How about you?
It's okay. Life takes its ups and downs, that's for sure. I'll just say that. But I'm here with you, man. We're talking about the fights, so can't get any better than that. I mean, it's what we love, right? So today, obviously, we're going to start with the UFC Orlando Preview, Marcel. 15 fights on this card, man. So it's a pretty stacked card. I think it's a really good fight night card. We'll do a second podcast after the preview show, just talking about PFL and some fight announcements. That'll be a shorter podcast way after this, but you do want to start with the preview. You want to just get into it, Marcel? Like, we have 15 fights, so it's going to be a lot to talk about. What do you think overall this card as a whole, UFC Orlando?
It's a fucking sick card. What else can we say about it? I mean, definitely for a fight night. It's pretty much a fight night it's pretty much a pay-per-view without a title fight. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's how I feel about this card. I think it's a really good card. It's a really deep card. And looking forward to it, man. I mean, we got a week without UFC, last week. And then now we got this kind of card. It's kind of late, gotta say, man. 4 a.m. The start time for the main card over here. But, good fights on it, so I'm looking forward to it, man.
Yeah, man, I think it's a really good card for sure. I'm looking forward to talking about it with you as well. Hey, Loco, the card's solid, 8.5. Yeah, I think it's a good card. I mean, I think it's really good for fighting. Like Marcel said, like, if you just had a title fight at the top, like, it would look like almost one of those, like, I would say, like, the best pay-per-view, but a pretty good pay-per-view, too. It's a good card. Anyways, we'll see what happens. We're hyping it up now. Watch it suck, right? That's going to happen. I'm just kidding. All right, I think we should just get into it. So let's start with the first fight, Marcel. Yazmin Jauregui against Istela Nunes. Yazmin Jauregui minus 315, Nunes plus 260. Marcel, I think I know who you're going to pick here, but just give me your official pick anyways.
Yeah, dude. I mean, Yazmin should destroy her. That's pretty much how it is, I really don't understand why they make this fight. I know this fight was supposed to be Yazmin's debut fight in the UFC. But I think she should get a better opponent, in my opinion, a higher ranked opponent. Also not really happy that it's the first fight of the card. I think should be higher up. Yazmin should win this fight. Should she get a finish? Maybe. I'll go with a dominant decision win for Yazmin here.
Yeah, I think so too, Marcel. I like her quite a bit in this fight. I honestly was surprised the odds were only minus 315. I thought it'd be a little bit higher. I guess she only has one fight in the UFC, right? So, like, she's still technically a prospect. But, man, she looked great in that debut, obviously, in the summer. That fight should have won. Well, I guess the Nate Landwehr Onama fight was fight of the night. But, like, before that fight, that was fight of the night. I hope this girl's got bonuses, by the way. It was an awesome fight. She looked great, undefeated, super young. I mean, there's everything to like about her. Nunes, 30 years old. It's not super old, but like she just hasn't looked great in the UFC. Area and Carlos, he took her down easily and then submitted her. And then Sam Hughes, she did look good early in that fight, Marcel. In the first round, she looked great, but as the fight went on, she got really tired. Ends up getting grinded out with grappling by her opponent Hughes there. That's the thing about this fight that I guess the matchmakers is that it's going to be two strikers. I think, Marcel. I don't see a lot of grappling, but if there is, I would assume it'd be Yazmin trying to take down Nunes because it seems pretty easier to get her to the ground. On the feet, I mean, it should be somewhat competitive, but again, Jauregui, I think, faster fighter, cleaner fighter. She'll land the more damaging strikes throughout. I think it'll be somewhat competitive, but in the end, I think she wins a clear decision, like 30-27. I also think there's an outside chance of a knockout. I don't think Nunes has been knocked out yet, but this could be the fighter that does do it because she does have a lot of knockouts. So it's either knockout or decision. I lean towards, I guess, a decision, but knockout's possible as well. That's kind of what you're thinking too? Decision, possibly knockout, or
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay, cool. All right, let's get to the next fight here, guys. This one's interesting too. We got Marcelo Pitbull Rojo against Francis Marshall. Odds for this one: Marshall minus 170, Rojo plus 145. I am interested to see what Rojo does because I know he was with James Krause, right? So you won't have him in his corner for this fight, and hopefully you're able to bet on it in New Jersey. I saw some people talking about that online that you are still, but maybe they'll take it down later in the week. Hopefully not for my friends in New Jersey because it's not the fighter's fault that their coach obviously is in trouble here. But either way, regardless, Marcel, he does enter the fight as the underdog. But do you think he's got a chance here? What do you think about this fight?
Yeah, man. I think Rojo is dropping to 135, right?
I heard it was at 145. Am I wrong? Yeah, it's at 145, Marcel.
Oh, it's at 145. Okay. Yeah, man. I mean, Francis Marshall looked really good in the Contender Series against Carter Matthews earlier this year. Really like what I saw there. Marcelo Rojo, man, he's an action fighter. You know, he got that how do you say that, Velociraptor or something?
Yeah.
Kind of how do you say that? A celebration when he wins.
Yeah.
Still looking for his first win in the UFC. Got to say, man, he had some tough opponents, man, with Charles Jourdain and Kyler Phillips. You know.
Oh man.
So difficult here, you know. I think with Marshall coming in, I really like how Marshall looked, man. So it's really difficult to say like Rojo gonna win here. I'm not sure. I feel like Marshall can win, man. I feel like he kind of gets a decision here, but Rojo can win as well. It's super close fight. I'm really 50-50 on this one, man. So slightly leaning towards Marshall, but I still can switch late. I'm not sure yet.
You can, for sure. You got the whole week to think about it.
Mm-hmm.
This is tough, for sure. I gotta be honest, Marcel, I am leaning Rojo here a little bit. Like, I hate this whole Crow situation. I wish he had like a more defined coach and everything. But regardless of that, like, I do think, you know, there's a big experience gap here, right? Like, you have 25 fights compared to 6. And this guy's already fought, like you said, Kyler Phillips and Charles Jourdain. And the Jourdain fight was actually pretty competitive. You know, I know he got finished in the end. Same with Phillips, but you know, the Jourdain fight, at least, like, he was somewhat competitive. Like, the guy he's a dog. They call him a pit bull for a reason, right? Like, he's a dog, man. He's going to be there for all 3 rounds until you finish him, until you knock him out or submit him. And here's the thing, like, Francis Marshall, I thought he did look good, Marcel, okay? And he definitely can win this fight. I mean, I understand why he's favored, undefeated prospect, super young, I get it. But the opponent he had, Connor Matthews, another inexperienced guy who, you know, didn't really move his head much and stuff. And I don't know, man. It just seems like if you look at the guy who he's fought, like, nothing special. Now he's getting a pretty big step up, in my opinion, to a guy in Rowe who, again, hasn't won a fight in the UFC, but has had tough opposition, and throughout his career actually does have some really good wins and a lot of experience, Marcel. Like, I talk about 25 fights, and he's got the Ultimate Fighter Latin America experience too. Like, this guy's very experienced. You know, typically I do pick with a younger fighter, especially an undefeated one, but in this case, like, I'm not sold on the guy yet, and I think Rojo's a dog that's definitely alive here. I want to take Rojo, Marcel. I think he can win this fight, so I want to pick him here. Does that change the way you thought? Because I know you were kind of on the fence. Like,
I'm still kind of,
yeah.
I
know you're saying, like, for me, it's just like this is like a pickup fight, like a plus 145. I mean, to me, the odds seem a little off. But it's not just that. I just think the experience is something I have to go with in this one, guys. Like, only 6 fights, and again, you know, he did. It's not like it was a flawless victory, man, on Contender. You know, like the other guy also landed some big shots on him. So I don't know. Like, the jury's out for me on Francis Marshall. He looked good, but is it good enough to beat a guy that's already in the UFC? I don't know. We'll see. And like you said, the weight class, that's another thing to think about, right? Like, now that Rowe's not going to cut all that weight, like in his last fight, maybe he'll look even better. So we'll see what happens here. I mean, the guy's got a lot of losses. He's been finished a lot, but that experience, man, that can definitely play a factor. All right, I'm going to get some comments here, guys. What's up, Antoine? He said, how's the family? How's the weekend? Things are okay, man. Thanks for asking. I know Marcel, he's doing okay too. What do you guys think about start time? It says 7 p.m. Eastern, so
this pay-per-view starts on.
Yeah, I prefer it's a little bit earlier personally. Like 4 o'clock is fine with me. It's not like I'm doing anything else and watching the fights. So, what's up, Gorilla? How's it going, man? Glad to have this guy here. All these training coach situations very juicy. It is. Marshall's, hey, Glenn, what's up? He's talking about Marshall's opponents. Yeah, their record are good. I agree with that too. If you take away that one guy, that Ray Trujillo guy, if he didn't fight him, like, the record would be even worse, you know, which is kind of scary. And then I want to say Matthews fought Jay Ellis, didn't he? Did he not? Yeah, he did. So if you took away his Jay Ellis fight, I mean, these guys, like, these prospects, they're prospects. That's what it comes down to. You know, doesn't mean he can't win. He definitely can win this fight. He's a promising prospect. But again, to me, I don't know. I mean, like, you got a guy with a ton of experience, a guy who's going to fight. You know, Rowe is going to fight hard for 50 minutes. He's not a scrub. He's not a bum. You know, that's the thing. If he was just a guy that we know loses a lot and that doesn't fight hard, then it'd be an easy pick. But he's not. He's a guy that does fight hard the entire time he's in there. All right. Don't like the fight nights that start at the main time period. Yeah, it is stacked. Fire Marshal Balance, MMA and firefighting. That's a funny. I like his nickname. Is good, right? It's like Elliot Marshall, right? Isn't it the same thing? What's up, Bircha? Before I go to bed, tell me there's some Yanez news. He wants to hear if Yanez is supposed to fight. Heard anything?
I have no idea, man. I know he was. They linked him with Rob Font in New York in this month, but
Right.
never happened. You know.
Yanez and Umar are supposed to fight in November against different opponents. That's what A-Loco was saying. That's interesting. Yeah, Rob Font was the fight, and then Rob didn't want the fight. Is that what happened, or?
I think he wasn't. He was. How do you say that? He wasn't healthy to take that fight.
His
in
last
November.
fight was pretty tough fight, obviously with Cheeto. Is it Marshall from the California MMA sister or something like that? I thought he's a East Coast guy, but Pellegrino mixed martial arts. Maybe before that. Anyways, let's go to the next fight, Marcel.
Yeah.
We got Natan Levy against Genaro Valdez. And right now we got Natan Levy is the favorite. He is minus 180 and Genaro Valdez plus 155. What do you think about this one?
Yeah, I think he should be the favorite. You know, I think Genaro Valdez, he's a fun fighter, but he's wild. You know, you saw he's wild. Got that crazy fight against Frevola in his debut. He was also wild in the Contender Series where he beat the Patrick White guy who was beating him up in the first round. I remember. And Natan Levy had a tough debut against Rafa Garcia, but he got a good win over Mike Breeden last time out. Yeah, Natan Levy's going to win this fight. I'm taking it with a decision. Maybe even a finish, but I think a decision.
I like him here a lot, Marcel. I mean, I think the line is really low. Minus 180, that's even more than reasonable. Like, this Valdez guy's not good. He's not at all. He looked terrible, I thought, on in his fight against Matt Frevola. Got dropped 4 times and brutally knocked out. But even the fight in Contender against that Patrick White guy who didn't even have a mouth guard properly fit, remember that fight? It was a crazy fight, don't get me wrong. It's actually a great fight to watch as a fan. But, like, no defense. And he only won because his opponent's even worse than him. He was like minus 1,000 there and struggled. And then, you know, this fight against Frevola, I mean, gets destroyed. And Frevola is pretty good, so I mean, it's not like it's the worst loss to have, but Todd Levy's at least, you know, big competitive in 1 fight in the UFC already. He beat Mike Breeden. It's a pretty competitive fight, but won. And then Rafa Garcia, he did lose that fight, but again, that's a decent opponent. It's not like he's a bum. So I don't know, man. I think he wins for like I'm pretty sure he wins this fight, Marcel. Like, how confident are you in Natan Levy here?
Very.
Me too. I'm pretty confident here, guys. Maybe I'll be eating my words next Monday when we do the recap. I hope not, though, because I'm probably going to end up betting on this guy. And I like the line. Minus 180, it seems good. I think it'll go up by as the fight week goes on. I think it's going to go up a bit because, honestly, Valdez is not good. I think people are going to start fading him at some point. So that's my thoughts on that one. What's up, Jason? Play the unders in Valdez fights. Yeah, I mean, that fight against Contender against Patrick White, my God. Like, the guy's just got no defense at all, right? Does have a little bit of power, obviously, Marcelo. I mean, we've seen him, score a lot of knockouts, but again, you know, was not beating quality opposition on the regional scene. A lot of the guys he beat were not very good, and then again, you know, he struggled since he's moved up a little bit in competition. I think he's got some power, and he's definitely got a puncher's chance here. But I mean, to me, like Levy doesn't seem like a guy with a bad chin or anything like that. I think he's decent, and especially if he gets his grappling going, I think that would be a big plus for him in this fight. But yeah, I'd like him to win. Valdez fights like a crackhead. He's wild. Like, he's fun to watch, Marcel, but he's not someone you'd want to bet on, really. You know, because he's just too reckless. Like, definitely not. But you could fade him, right? And that's what I try to do here. See you, Bircha. Have a good one, buddy. All right, let's go to the next fight, Marcel. Tracy Cortez against Amanda Ribas. I'm guessing this is your favorite fight in the card. That's my guess, my friend. We got it's a pick'em fight, Marcel. Basically, Amanda Ribas minus 115. Tracy Cortez minus 105. Essentially a pick'em, Marcel. So what do you think?
I think Amanda Ribas wins this fight, dude. I feel like this is for Tracy Cortez the most tough fight so far in her career. She finally gets a real test in the UFC, in my opinion. Here, Amanda Ribas is just, I think, a level above her at this moment. You know, I don't know. Cortez can still become a better fighter. You know, but I feel like this is. I feel like it's too early for Cortez, man. I mean, Cortez, she got some good wins in the UFC, but we have seen her struggle in certain rounds as well that she gave away, you know? And I think Ribas can win here. I see Ribas winning even on the ground. I'm taking a decision for Ribas here. I'm actually kind of convinced in this.
I think she wins too, Marcel. I'm with you too on this one. I like her to win this fight too. Like, I think Tracy Cortez has looked good. I mean, I've been betting on her. Like, there's no doubt she's a good fighter. She's a good wrestler. But I also feel like, you know, Marcel, honestly, except for her last fight, because she did fight a legit fighter, I think, in Guida, who's pretty good. But I think overall, I mean, her UFC career, here's the problem when you fight, easy matchmaking, because like quite frankly, her matchmaking has been pretty easy in the UFC, except again for her last fight, I think, where she got a bit of a step up against a pretty good prospect. I just think like it's a big difference in competition here, Marcelo to Ribas. Like Ribas is fighting the best in the world. Again, she's lost some of these fights, but still really competitive. Like the fight with Chikagan's super competitive. I mean, that's a fight she could have won easily with different judges. I think you scored her for. I can't even remember now. You might have. Yeah. I mean, obviously she beat Darren, Janjijoba, whatever they pronounce it. Like, she's obviously not flawless. Like, she's been knocked out, she's lost. But in Tracy Cortez, obviously, she's got the one loss earlier in her career. I don't know, man. I just think that Marcel, I don't think her game will work in this fight. That's what I think it comes down to. Like, she can use her wrestling against most of the fighters in the division that she can just hold down because she has such superior grappling. But Ribas is a good grappler, man. A great grappler, I'd say. I think she's going to be extremely hard to get down. 88% takedown defense. It's very good takedown defense. Striking, I think she's the better striker. Yeah, I think she wins. The odds are good too. So pick 'em fight. I mean, I'm probably going to have to take a shot on her, Marcel, at these odds, to be honest with you, because I do think she's a better fighter, more proven, and you're getting pick 'em odds. It's something I'm going to have to take a shot on. So glad you're leaning the same way as me. What's up, Joe? How's it going, man? It is a good card. Felix Ribas. What's up, Claudio? Making money betting on UFC is tough. Gotta pick your spots. Don't bet in every fight. Just pick your spots. That's why some of these fights I'm like, I don't know. I'll probably just pass on them. But some of these, like someone I do like, So we'll talk about the rest of the card going up here. Who is hotter, Ribas or Cortez? I mean, that's a good question. I'll let Marcelo answer that one. Who do you think?
Ribas, 100%.
Yeah, I think they're both obviously really good looking. I mean, there's no doubt about it. I don't want Brian Ortega to beat me up here, so I don't know if I should pick against his.
I could say something which I always say: take the makeup away, and then who do you think looks better? It's clearly Ribas, but Cortez knows how to look. You know what I mean? She knows how to sell herself.
No, they're definitely both very attractive women and good fighters too. All right, let's get to the next fight here. We have Darren Elkins against Jonathan Pearce. Marcel. Odds for this one, I mean, they're pretty wide. Minus 450, Jonathan Pearce. Plus 360 to damage Darren Elkins. I'm assuming you're picking Jonathan Pearce in this fight.
I mean, you can only pick Elkins if you think he's going to finish, because a decision he's not going to win, Yeah, I'm taking Pearce here. I think Pearce has looked really good, man. I remember him coming.
Marcel, your mic's off. You just turn your mic off. There you go.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right.
Talk.
I don't know. So, when he came in the UFC, Jonathan Pearce, I was like, oh, he's losing to Joe Lozon in the first round. What the hell, But since then, he has looked good. Looked really good against Marc last time out, in my opinion. Elkins is on the way out, I think. He's kind of getting older. Still a lot of respect for the dude. Been in so many wars, but Pearce is gonna win, man. That's what I think.
I mean, it's like, I don't know how you could pick Elkins here, right? Like, it's impossible unless you think he can finish Jonathan Pearce, because it's not like he hasn't been finished.
Yeah.
Lozon did it. I'm pretty sure he was finished earlier in his career too. But man, I mean, the guys looked really improved, like just everywhere, right? 4-fight win streak right now. For me, Marcel, like the guy's gas tank is like Darren Elkins. That's kind of one of the things he's known for, the gas tank, obviously, and just the durability. But as he gets older, that durability is going to wane, and then like the gas tank, I think this guy matches him there too. If not beats him potentially. I think Pearce finishes Elkins, man. I really do. Takes him down and then just like elbows him to death or something like that, like his last fight. The guy's very good. He's gonna lose when he gets a top 15, top 10 opponent maybe, but a guy like Elkins at this point of his career, Marcel, so much damage taken. 38 years old now. I mean, credit to the guy. He has pulled off some wins that I didn't see coming throughout his career, but I don't like this fight for him, man. Jonathan Pearce by stoppage. What are you thinking, TKO? Your mic's off again. This funny guy. You there? Yeah. Press it again. There you go.
Yeah, I think TKO. Just talk. I'm going to fix this mic.
No problem. Okay, sounds good. All right, let's go to the next fight here, guys. All right, next one we got. It's Michael Johnson against Marc Diakiese. Odds for this one, Marc Diakiese minus 275, Michael Johnson plus 230. I'll start off on this one too, Marcel.
Piece of shit cable. Yeah,
we can hear you.
sorry.
No, that's fine. Excuse me. I think it's decently competitive. I'm not going to bet on Diakiese. I don't like the odds here, minus 275. I'm going to pick him to win because he's more in his prime. He's the better grappler, which I think could give Michael Johnson some problems as well because he can mix in that grappling Diakiese. And his striking, obviously, he can hold his own on the feet. It's not like he's a bum on the feet. Johnson, I think he's looked pretty good lately, to be honest. Like, obviously, he knocked out Patrick. The Malarkey fight, he got robbed in. Let's be honest, he should have won that fight. So he has looked better lately since returning from the injury. But at the same time, 36 years old. This is his 40th fight, and his record's 21-18, guys. So, like, if you have picked against him throughout his career, a lot of the time you're probably winning some money on this guy losing. I hate the odds, honestly, man. I wish this was a pick'em fight. At minus 275, I don't know if I can get there on Diakiese just because Johnson is pretty good, and if the fight stays standing, he has a chance to win for sure. But overall, Marcel, I mean, I got to fade Johnson here and go with Diakiese. I think he'll probably use the grappling, man, again and grind it out decision here. That's what I'm thinking. What do you think?
The thing is, man, Johnson's not a bad grappler himself, because I think he might can match Diakiese in the grappling, and that's why I'm not sure if Diakiese is going to win here. If he wasn't as good in the grappling, I would have been pretty sure on Diakiese. I don't know, man. I feel like Johnson can win this fight as well, man. I think it's a lot closer than many people think. Can go either way. It's pretty much if Johnson can match Diakiese in the ground game, he can win the fight because Diakiese is going to try what he's been doing to Hadzovic and Vyacheslav Borchev. He's going to try that to Johnson as well. If Johnson cannot stop the takedown, if he cannot stop the wrestling, he's going to get the same thing that Hadzovic and Borchev got. But if he can win the fight, and I think he can, man. So I'm taking Johnson here, decision win.
Yeah, no, I don't blame him. I mean, there's going to be some underdogs that win this card. He's definitely a live dog, in my opinion. It's not Anthony. He thinks the line's a little off, too. What do you think Diakiese wins? Probably, but again, I'm kind of with you. The line's a little off. Yeah, I look, I mean, it's not the most exciting style, but, like, he gets the job done, and that's really what you want. It's just, Johnson does have decent takedown defense, so it'll be an interesting fight. Like I said, I'm going to pick Diakiese youth, just being, just a little bit more well-rounded in his career right now. That's why I have to pick him. All right, let's go to the next fight, Marcel. Clay Guida against Scott Holtzman. I mean, this one looks kind of tough, too, to be honest with you. Man, a lot of veterans on this card, eh? It's pretty crazy. Marcel, I'll say this. There's probably going to be some fighters cut after this card, too, if I had to guess. Let's go to this fight here. We got, right now, Scott Holtzman, minus 150, Clay Guida, plus 130. Your thoughts, man?
It's like, I mean, listen, man, Holtzman lost to Dariush and to Mateusz Gamrot in his last two fights. Those are not bad losses,
No.
Clay Guida lost to Madsen. Also not a real bad loss. He lost to Puelles. This isn't a really bad loss, but if you look at how Puelles looked in his last fight, it's kind of a bad loss, but I would still think Puelles is very talented. Guida's getting older. Holtzman is also kind of getting older, but I still feel Holtzman has the power to stop Guida. You know what I mean? Holtzman has that very hard power to knock somebody out, and Guida can try to keep it safe, get it to the ground, maybe try to grind him out, but I don't see it happening, to be honest, man. I think Holtzman stops him, man. KO. Second round, I think.
I think it's a little tricky, but at the same time, I mean, that's kind of what I'm thinking too, to be honest with you. He hasn't fought much lately, obviously, but I mean, like you said, the losses lately were not to bad opponents. He hasn't fought in over a year now. But like I remember that fight with Jim Miller a couple years ago. This kind of reminds me of that fight a little bit, Marcel. And honestly, like it was a pretty easy fight for Scott Holtzman. Guida's probably got a little bit of a better gas tank than Jim Miller. I guess we can say that for sure. Guida, I think he does have a chance though, Marcel. Honestly, to get the grappling going because we know he's got that grinding ability to take people down and hold them there. The first round's going to be really tough for him. I think he definitely going to lose the second round. Clay Guida, I think he definitely wins the third round. So it comes down to the second round unless Holtzman gets a knockout, which I think could happen because we've seen Clay get knocked out. But at the same time, I don't know if I'm confident enough to bet on this fight either because I do think Holtzman, could get taken down and then might be sweating it. So I'll probably end up passing on this one. I don't want to bet in every fight in this card. This is kind of one where I'm going to lean towards Holtzman. I think the odds are probably on the right side here, but I don't know, Marcel. There's still something about this fight too. Like they're both they're not young guys. You got a 41-year-old and a 39-year-old here. Like they're two guys probably nearing the end of their career. I mean, I know Guida's been around for a while, but he loses another fight. You never know if the UFC is going to keep him around. And same with Holtzman, man. So let's see what happens with this one. All right, let's go to the next fight here. We got Angela Hill against Emily Ducote. Odds for this one: Emily Ducote minus 125, Angela Hill plus 105. What's your thoughts on this one, my friend?
Yeah, it's gonna be a close fight. I think Ducote will use her low kicks again, like she did against Jessica Penne, and actually Jessica Penne, a good friend of Angela Hill, training partner. So Angela Hill last time didn't look good against Ribas. She lost that fight, which I expected. I think she will match better with Ducote, but I still go with Ducote to win via decision. And Angela Hill getting upset, she's getting a decision against her.
Another fight I think will be competitive, man. I do think it'll be a close fight. Ducote, I think she's good. She looked pretty against Penne. It's not like she was flawless though. She did, eat some shots herself in that fight. Angela Hill is, a pretty good striker and very experienced. I mean, she just beat Lupi Godinez in a big upset. She probably should have beaten Amanda Lemos. That would have been a huge win for her career. But like you said, Marcel, historically, a lot of losses by decision. The judges don't seem to really like her that much. Her style, I guess. I do think she's got a chance to win this fight. I do think the judges are going to get involved. That's kind of what I'm worried about here as well. You never know what they're going to see. I got to go with Ducote just because she is the younger fighter, the fresher fighter, significantly younger, 9 years younger. I like that. I thought she looked good in her debut. I have to pick her. I'm just saying, again, this one, there's some hesitation here, so that's what I'm saying about that one. Because again, Marcel, some underdogs are going to win on this card. There's no doubt about it, right? So we're trying to sniff them out. It's not easy on this card. There are a few coming up I do like. I did pick one already, but this one is a possibility. I'm just not going to pick her. I'll take Ducote by decision. You think it goes the distance, though? Would you say that?
Yeah, I'll go with the distance.
I think it goes the distance, too. Yeah. He likes Emily. Yeah, she probably should win. He likes Hill. So, yeah, a couple guys in the chat, different sides. I think it's a competitive fight, and that's why the line is where it is. All right, let's go to the next fight here. I'm curious to hear your thoughts on this one. I'll start off on this one, actually. The next one, we have Phil Rowe taking on Niko Price. This should be an action-packed fight for as long as it lasts. Minus 140, Niko Price, Phil Rowe plus 120. Marcel, I'll start on this one, okay?
Yeah.
I'm going with Phil Rowe, man. I got to take Phil Rowe in the spot. For me, they're both flawed guys. Obviously, they can both crack, but they've been knocked out. They've been dropped. But to me, Niko Price, just so much damage throughout his UFC career. So many wars. He's been in the UFC 6 years now. It does have a decent record, but so much damage. And I don't know if this is a good spot, man, against a guy like Phil Rowe, who's 6'3" with an 80-inch reach in the welterweight division. Like, this guy's an absolute monster. His last two fights, he got taken down a couple times and then got back up and just brutally knocked his opponents out. The guy's got crazy knockout power. I think he is an improving fighter. And again, to me, Price is a guy I've been looking to fade for a while. It's been pretty good lately. The last fight, I think I did pick him against Alex Oliveira because Alex Oliveira is another guy I was looking to fade. In this case, Rowe's a guy I want to bet on. Rowe's a fighter I like. I think the reach is going to play a significant factor. I think, Price, if he wants to win, I think Price is going to have to take him down because I think on the feed he's going to get knocked out maybe. I'm going to Phil Rowe by knockout, Marcel. That's going to be my pick here. It's an upset pick. I think he gets the job done, man. So there's my pick there. What do you think?
Yeah, so the thing with Phil Rowe is he won his last two fights. I actually scored a fight against Green also for him, you know what I mean? So I didn't win all his UFC fights so far. Niko Price looks to be a little bit on a decline, he's kind of getting a little bit older. Like you said, lots of damage, man. That's the thing, that's the thing for me as well here. I'm also picking Rowe. And I still think Niko Price has a chance to win, but I feel more confident to pick Rowe here. So yeah,
he is favored to win the fight. So we're actually on the opposite end of it, if anything. I know what you're saying. I mean, obviously, he's favored, right? On paper, I guess he's got some advantages, but I think he's probably the better wrestler. I'll say that, better grappler. But again, I just think it's good. He's going to have problems with the reach and the striking of Rowe. Massive difference in competition. That's another thing to keep in mind for sure. I mean, Price has fought better guys, but again, For me, it's more of a fade spot. I don't think Rose fought like terrible fighters. I think his opposition's been decent. It's not as good as Price's though. That I would agree with. It's not grateful, dude. Under 2.5. Yeah, I'm leaning towards Rowe by knockout. That would be my lean, right? And then if he lost, he probably gets finished. It's minus 170. I just looked. That probably does hit too, actually. All right, let's go. Let's get this last comment. Not Price lose. Rowe has beat. Price coming off a long layoff for him, so hoping looks better. Possibly. I don't know though, guys. Like I'm really unsure about Price where he is right now. He barely beat Alex Alder. It was extremely close. I think he got a takedown with a minute left and won the fight basically like that. If it wasn't for that, he might have lost that decision against the guy in Alex Alder is not in the UFC anymore. Again, doesn't mean Rowe will beat him just because of that, obviously. But I'm trying to take everything into account. And again, Rowe is the underdog, so I guess I'm on the opposite side of you guys. That's okay. I don't mind that. I think it's gonna be a great fight. Should be an awesome fight for as long as it lasts. And you're right, probably under 2.5. All right, let's go to the next one here. We got. Is it Jack Hermansson and Roman Dolidze? Is that the next fight?
No, Anders against Daukaus.
Eryk Anders and Kyle Daukaus. Cool. All right, so next fight we got Eryk Anders and Kyle Daukaus here, guys. And the odds on this one are minus 200 Daukaus, plus 170 Anders. Your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, if you look at Eryk Anders last time, he lost to John Park in a fight. I think he won. That's the thing. Before that, he lost to Andre Muniz. Eryk Anders kind of inconsistent, man. Sometimes he looks good, sometimes not really. Sometimes sometimes he really looks like a world beater, and sometimes I see him as no, it's not that great. But you can say the same for Kyle Daukaus. Kyle Daukaus against Dolidze really disappointed, man. I think before that against JB Pickett, he looked good in a fight that I expected him to look good. I actually expected him to look good against Dolidze as well, man, but he got completely steamrolled. Yeah, it's a difficult matchup, I think, to pick here. I'm still feeling like Kyle Daukaus has more upside to win this fight. So I'm taking Kyle Daukaus, maybe even with a finish. I'm not sure, but I'm going for sure with a decision to it. It's a little bit more safe, I think.
I think it'll be pretty competitive too, but here's the thing: I'm having a difficult time with this fight for two reasons. Number one, because I do want to fade Anders, Marcel, because honestly, even though I do think he won his last fight against Park, it was a competitive fight, but I thought he did enough to win. He is clearly on the downside of his career. I mean, there's no doubt about it, right? He just hasn't looked great. Does have some decent wins in his career, but lately has not looked great. And I want to fade him. But the problem I have with this is Daukaus is coming up such a bad knockout loss. His face was broken in multiple places. He's now coming back. I'm surprised he's back only 5 months later. I thought he'd be out for a year at least. So coming off a brutal knockout loss, and it's not like he's been unbeatable in the UFC. He's kind of struggled a little bit here and there too. At the same time, though, he is the younger fighter in this fight by 6 years. And Eryk Anders, one of his, I guess, positives is how big he is, right? He's a big middleweight, but Daukaus is just as big, arguably. Probably a little bit thinner, softer on the midsection, I guess, but taller, longer, better submission game too. I think it'll be a grindy type of fight, a lot of fence pushing back and forth. If Daukaus gets Anders down, I think he can submit him, but I do think it's going to be a lot of fighting on the feet here. Would you say a decision or submission?
A decision win for Daukaus.
That's probably what's going to happen, Marcel. But I do think there's an outside chance of a sub if he gets him down. Overall, I think it'll be a competitive fight, but Daukaus probably wins the decision in here. I don't know. There's still something keeping from going all in on him, I guess, if that makes sense. But he should win this fight. I'm just worried about that brutal knockout loss. I hate betting on guys coming off that kind of a loss. That's the only problem I have. I think Anders gets caught in a scramble. That's very possible. Just like that Jamie Pickett fight. Can Chris Daukaus also get cut his next fight? I don't think Chris is getting cut. The UFC likes him, although he might change weight classes. All right, let's go to the next fight here. Next up, we got Jack Hermansson against Roman Dolidze. So this fight is short notice for Dolidze. He's filling for Derek Brunson. Who would you have picked, Hermansson or Brunson? Who would you have picked in that fight?
That's a really difficult one to pick, I think, man. I would probably go with Jack Hermansson. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I probably would have leaned him a little bit because I thought he looked so good against Chris Curtis, right? I know the crowd booed and everything, but the guy looked good. He did what he had to do to win against a good boxer. This fight, Hermansson is the favorite. Minus 175, Dolidze plus 145. Give me your quick thoughts on this fight.
I mean, Dolidze is good, but we saw him struggle in a lot of fights as well, He got that win last time against Phil Haas, but Phil Haas was clearly injured in that fight. Not want to take away anything about from that knockout, but he was injured. Got to be honest, Sean Strickland, he came back in that fight against Chris Curtis. I mean, he clearly won, but he came back after that loss against Sean Strickland, earlier this year. Hermansson has proven, man, to be a top 15 guy. For Dolidze, he still has to prove that. He had got 2 good wins in his last 2 fights against Daukaus, what we talked about earlier, and against Haas. I still think Hermansson is a level above him. I'm taking Hermansson by a decision here.
Yeah. I got to go with Hermansson, too. I mean, the guy is just so proven, coming off a good win. He has been inconsistently win-loss, but, I think it's a step down. Dolidze's decent, but, I don't think he's top 15 right now. He has looked good lately, obviously. He's looked good in the UFC 5-1 overall. Some quick knockout wins. But, Hermansson, I mean, other than Jared Cannonier, I don't think he's been knocked out. Actually, no, sorry. Thiago Santos knocked him out, too. But, that's it. 2 knockout artists. Dolidze's got some power. There's no doubt about it. The guy's definitely got some power. But I think Hermansson fight smart, keep his range in this fight, and stay at distance and kind of pick apart Dolidze. Dolidze doesn't. I don't think he can fall back on his grappling like he has in some of his other fights. In this fight, I don't think he will be able to because Hermansson is good on the ground too. I just think Hermansson is just more complete, proven fighter. I have to pick him to win this fight. I have to. So Jack Hermansson decision. That would be my my lean in this one. A Loco thinks Dolidze is a live dog. Maybe. Roman's power might be a bad thing with Jack's chin. He's only been knocked out by Santos and Cannonier. Maybe, but I don't know. I'm not sure. Didn't Dolidze caused the injury for knocking him out? Yeah, I think he had him in some knee bar or something. I want to say he definitely got that in his bag. He's definitely got that in his bag. But again, I think Hermansson, he's a pretty smart grappler. I don't know. I don't see him getting caught in that, but you never know. All right, time for the next fight here. Oh yeah, here's a good one. Tuivasa against Sergey Pavlovich. Someone's getting performance of the night bonus. Whoever wins this fight, I'll go on a limb and say that, Marcel. If you can bet on that, do it because I think someone's getting performance bonus. Odds for this one: Pavlovich minus 195, tie plus 165. Who are you picking?
Going to be a first round knockout for either one. For one of the guys, I'm feeling more confident by picking Pavlovich, but. I don't know, man. If Tuivasa lands a bomb, he can knock him out as well, So, yeah. But I think Pavlovich is a little bit more technical than Ty. But we know if Ty lands, you're a 9 out of 10 times, or you got to be gone and standing up and turning the game around, Pavlovich first round knockout for me.
I agree that someone's getting knocked out. I'm honestly leaning towards Ty a little bit more. So I know you guys are gonna think I'm crazy, right? But I'm leaning towards Ty a little bit. I mean. The guy, I know we got knocked out in his last fight, but who else is hurt gone? The guy's got crazy power, 5-fight win streak before that, knocking everyone out. He's tough as fucking nails. The problem I have with Pavlovich is he looks like a destroyer. I bet on him in all his fights. The last 4, actually, I'm 5-0 picking his fights because I never picked Overeem to beat him in his debut. That's the problem I have here, Marcel. It's I know Overeem took him down, beat him up. The problem I have though is he's really good, Pavlovich, when he's the guy leading dance, punching his opponent, hurting them bad. But in this case, I think he's going to get cracked too in this fight, man. I think he gets cracked a couple times. Potentially gets knocked out. Someone's getting knocked out. I totally understand why you're picking Pavlovich. The guy's on a roll. He's looked good. But I like Ty's experience, man. He's fought some really good guys in the UFC lately, and he's come out on top in a couple of these fights. Someone's getting knocked out, but I'm leaning towards Ty to get the win as an underdog. And again, some dogs will win on this card, and a heavyweight dog will take a shot on. Let's see some comments here. What's up, Andrew? Does Pav get a title shot if he knocks out Ty in round 1? Maybe, but the thing is, we're still kind of waiting for John Jones, Nagano, that whole thing to sort itself out. So hard to say right now. Ty's a chance, but he got knocked out. He did get knocked out, but the fact he's returning so soon, it makes me think that he's not hurt from that fight. I would hope, anyways. Comes here with his brain scrambled, he's gonna get knocked out again. He's tough as nails, though, man. The only guy who's knocked him out besides Gone in his last fight was JDS. I mean, the guy's super, super durable. Pavlovich is definitely a guy that has power to knock him out. Just not sure. I'm not 100% sure. Low kicks could be key. 13 Pavlovich wins in round 1. I don't think the odds are out yet for that win. Let me double check. No, there's no props out yet. We just have the under 1.5 is minus 190. Someone's getting knocked out in the first round in this fight. In recent years, whoever beats Lewis ends up losing their next fight. Hunt, gone, tied, DC, JDS. So we'll see whether Pavlos can break Pearce. That's interesting too.
I gotta say, man, 8 Loco. I wonder how you come up with those kind of facts, man.
That's a weird ass fact, but like that's interesting too, right?
Yeah, it's definitely. But I always wonder when people I see sometimes this that's his name, this Andy Hickey guy on Twitter. There's also these weird kind of stats which are factually true, you know. And I'm like, how you even come up with that, you know? But it's very fun to read. So yeah, good stuff, you know.
That is funny for sure. All right. Let's go to the next fight here. Actually, wait, there's another comment. Sorry, there's a comment here. We got hype. Thanks for getting me through the dying hours of work. Hey, man, no problem. I'm just finished work. Marcel, I think, done for the day. We got our boy Matthias in here. What's going on, man? Glad to have you in the chat, my friend. All right, let's go to the next fight here, Marcel. Only a couple of fights left, guys. All right, this one's interesting, too, actually. I'm really curious to hear your thoughts on this fight. We got at flyweight, Matthias Nicolau against Max Schnell. And the reason I'm asking you about this is because these odds seem a little heavy to me. Minus 365 at Nicolau, plus 300 to Max Schnell, who's coming off like one of the best comebacks of the year against Sumadarji in a fight that, I mean, I didn't think he'd win that fight. What do you think about this? Like, almost 4-1 on Nicolau. What do you think, man?
The thing is, would I pick Schnell or do I see a reason to pick Schnell? And I don't see one. You know what I mean? So I can see maybe it's a little bit high, you know, but there is no reason for me to pick Schnell here. You know, I think Matthias Nicolau has looked good in the UFC. He has one loss against Dustin Ortiz, and that's when he got cut, when the UFC was supposed to get rid of the flyweight division. They took him back, 3 wins. You can say the Cap fight was kind of like 50-50, could have gone the other way. But he looked good against Dvorak, man. I give him that, you know. If you look at Schnell is kind of a gatekeeper in the division, dude. But at the other hand, he looked great against Sumadarji, and he came back in that fight, you know. He was hurt. He came back. Good win there. And against Brandon Royval, he started good as well, but Royval took over and finished him even in the first round, which also got a fight in the night, I think. Snell's a good fighter. He's a decent fighter, but he's really like a gatekeeper is such a nasty word, you know, but I don't mean it in a disrespectful way. It's kind of like if you beat Schnell, you can come far in the division. If you don't beat Schnell, you probably somewhere between 10 and 15, you know. I'm taking Nicolau here. I think he wins the decision.
I'm going to pick him too, right? Like Schnell's not a guy I pick very often, you know, I'll just say that. But I've been wrong a few times, you know, like that last fight, that one hurt the bankroll, guys. Like I picked Sumadarji. I thought he'd win for sure. And it was an amazing fight. I'll just say that. Like, you know, that's the thing. Sometimes these fights, like you pick them wrong, but the fight's so good that it's like, oh, okay, I lost my bet, but like the fight was amazing. Like, and I didn't see that coming, you know? It's one of those ones where like you do see it coming and then you bet on the guy anyways, you feel like a dumbass. That one I didn't feel so dumb because like I ever see that coming. A guy he was getting rocked everywhere and then somehow finds a way to win. So that's impressive, right?
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, Nicolau, I think, is a little bit more solid than Sumadarji, right? Like, he's just a little bit more well-rounded. And like you said, Marcel, he's got experience now. 2 times in the UFC, 2 stints. You know, on and off, he's been in the UFC for 9 years, but obviously he had a break there for a while. He's looked pretty good lately. You know, I don't think he was dominant against David Dvorak, though. Like, the fight was competitive, right? So all of a sudden, he's minus 400. That's the problem I have here. Picking him to win. You think a decision or knockout? What are you thinking?
Decision, but what's the real problem, man? You're convinced that Nicolau
I'm not convinced.
You're not convinced. Okay,
no, I'm not convinced. I'm picking him to win, but I'm just worried about Max Schnell like knocking him out or something, dude. Like,
I'm not.
Okay, that's good. That's good. And that's why the line's like that. I mean, maybe I'm the only one that's worried a bit. Just that last fight, I lost on him, right? I lost betting against the guy. That's why I'm always like, sometimes you can return to the well right away, and it's like I'll get that right back, and I could, right? But I don't know. There's this that small hesitation in me, man, because of that last fight where like. What happens if, again, you know, he's a guy that's coming to fight, Max Schnell. Like, even the fight with Brandon Royval, he knocked down Royval early, remember? And then he got submitted. So, anyways, we'll see what happens. I don't know why I'm talking to myself over the pick. I'm going to pick Nicolau. I'm just saying, guys, like, I'm trying to look for some sort of hesitancy, too. It's like, I don't want to just, like, go be like, this guy's going to win. You know, the other guy can win, too. So, that's what I'm saying. And again, that last fight it just makes you nervous. That's all I'm saying. I'm just a little nervous, Marcel. That's all. ESPN should use a stat. They should. I like your stats. Minus 220 last week, better than that. That's good odds. Do you think Schnell is not good at all? Fine, but not good. I don't think it's too good win. I think it was a pretty good win the way it happened, right? Like, getting destroyed and then coming back and winning. But you're right. I mean, Sue's not like experienced. Chanel's last fight was admiring. Problem with Chanel has no chin. I think he gets knocked out. Yeah, I think he could get knocked out in this fight too. It's a possibility. Chanel is a more chain tested man, who I think he beat actually, ironically. Why do you think the fight's so up in the card? I think the UFC likes the flyweights. Plus, you know, the winner would be pretty close to like the top of the weight class, quite frankly, right? Wouldn't you say, Marcelo? Like whoever wins this fight. So
True, but I mean the UFC is always inconsistent about cards. You know how they build them. So I'm not surprised that then is this and then is that. Sometimes, dude, we have seen before that they have an unranked fight in a certain division on the main card. They have ranked guys. They have on the prelims. It's super weird, you know. I remember I think it was a heavyweight fight where they had unranked heavyweights on the main card and two ranked heavyweights on the prelims. It's just super weird. I don't know. Dana always says they have a certain way of how they fill cards, but it doesn't make sense. I would love to see how they make the decisions to where put these guys on the card. You know what I mean? I would have loved to see it because, for example, you got Yazmin Jauregui opening the prelims. I mean, she had an amazing fight against Lucindo in her debut, and you now put her on the prelims. And in the first prelim, it's just super weird to me, you know. I don't say she needs to be on the main card, but not so low on the prelims, you know. I really would love to know the thought process behind it.
yeah, no, I'm with you. Like, why is that fight opening the card? It's kind of weird. That's a good question, actually. I like that. Is Mokaev the best fight in the UFC? No, not yet. Snobby sub. Imagine that'd be crazy. We picked Ribas. We both picked Ribas, so we both wanted to win a decision. I think a decision, right? I think that's what you said. Pretty sure. All right, let's go to the next fight here. Bryan Barberena taking on Rafael dos Anjos. This one, odds are pretty long for this one. Minus 540 RDA, plus 420 on Bryan Barberena. I get it. Like, RDA's a Hall of Famer, and he's still fighting at a high level, right? But he's moving back up to welterweight, fighting a guy who's on a nice win streak here, a guy who's going to fight you tooth and nail for 3 rounds. What do you think about this one, man? You think there's a potential upset, or are you pretty convinced RDA wins?
Listen, dude, you know, Brian is my guy, you know, even though I really like him. I gotta be honest here, man. You know, if you look at the fight, if you look at how Rafael dos Anjos beat Moicano in the first 4 of the 5 rounds, he did very well getting him to the ground and doing damage there and controlling him there. He lost to Fiziev after that. We all know that. But we also know that Bryan Barberena, he always comes to fight. He's super tough, but the only thing that he has a problem with is the ground game 9 out of 10 times. With guys really good on the ground. You see, he got losses against guys who are really decent on the ground or can keep him on the ground. And Dos Anjos is a smart fighter. You know, he has a high fight IQ, knows how to win a fight, and that's why I think the line is like this as well. You know, gotta be honest, man. You know, I'm a big Bryan Barberena fan. He's an amazing guy, but I think RDA is smart. Takes it to the ground, doesn't do stupid, and goes in the firefight. If he goes in the firefight with Barberena, he gets knocked out. I tell you this right now. He gets knocked out if he goes in the firefight with him. But that's not what he's going to do. RDA is a smart guy. He takes it to the ground. And I think he wins the decision, man. That's how I see this fight.
Yeah, I think so too. Like, that seems like the most likely way he'll win the fight, right? Like, I think he'll fight smart. And like you said, Bryan Barberena, he's a good fighter, but like the Matt Brown fight, Darren Weeks, Jason Witt, Anthony Ivy, you look at those fights, guys, he was taken down over 20 times in those 4 fights.
Mm-hmm.
Last fight fought a guy who's going to stand and bang with him, right? And he was, you know, at times getting picked apart, but just the combinations, eventually the volume broke Robbie Lawler and knocked him out. I think it's a huge win. I think he's looked great. RDA moving up in weight class, coming off a knockout loss. That's the hesitation I have here too, you know? I get it. Like, again, he should be favored to win the fight. I just think the line's a little high, you know? It's MMA. You've seen what's up.
You know, these pictures, they show always like those x-rays with the guys with the dog and the deer. That's Bryan Barberena with 3 dogs. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Dude is super tough, but
very tough.
Yeah, RDA, dude. RDA is so solid.
They're both so solid. They're both solid. I mean, RDA is,
great.
Like I said, Hall of Famer. I mean, in my opinion, right? I just, again, Marcel, at 155, 170, I'm going to check what his record is. He beat Tarek Safadine. He beat Neil Magny. That was impressive where he took him down. He beat Robbie Lawler. And he lost to Colby Covington, Usman, Kevin Lee fight was a welterweight too. Okay, so he's 4-2. Lost to Ed. I mean, look at their losses though. Like they're to absolute beasts. 4-4,
Yeah.
4-4, but lost to like very good fighters. That I really don't know what to think of him at welterweight. I mean, I think it's a movie I had to make. Obviously, getting knocked out in his last fight, but
And the thing with Barberina as well, he lost to Edwards, Colby,
yep.
And that really weird loss to Jason Witt. But the thing is,
Yes,
he came off that surgery, right?
That was
right
such a
that.
surprise, though. Honestly, at the time, this
Yeah.
last year too, crazy. I remember that fight pretty well. Yeah, I got to go with RDA by decision. Maybe that's the way to bet it instead, because I think Brian's so tough. Like it'll be hard to knock him out. I think and submit him even. Yeah, RDA by decision plus 550. Now, if you do think Brian Barber can win, Marcel, how would you think he'd win? Probably by knockout, right?
Yeah, by knockout in the second round, I would go.
Plus 700 for a knockout. I think it's possible. I do think it's possible. It's not like RDA's never been knocked out. He just got knocked out in his last fight.
Yeah.
You know, and you never know. Like, just say you can't take him down, and then it's on the feet, and then Brian just goes forward, throwing bombs, throwing haymakers, throwing volume. Like
he don't give a shit. He comes forward.
That's what I'm saying. Like it's a good fight. I like this match. It's a good matchup.
Yeah.
I like the fight.
Again,
guy's favored. He's a 6-1 favorite almost, guys. So
you
know, but again, there are upsets that happen, Marcel. You know, and I'd love to be the guy who calls it right now. I don't think I can pick him, but I'm just saying I think there's an outside chance of it. Let me get a couple of comments here, guys. Match Chanel is a place there. Oh, Match Chanel, yeah. Sorry, we're on the next fight. Barberina wins. I would like to see him test Ian Gary. That'd be a good fight. Well, I think if he beats RDA, and he's getting someone better than that. RDA Day, and he is minus 600 again. You guys see the video of Justin Usman school in Chechnya? I did. I don't really care about that much, but that's just me. I don't know. Marcel might. That's what I'm saying. Like RDA is a little smaller, 4 inches and 2 of height, 2 inches of less of reach. Marcel, what do you know about Andreas Gustafsson?
I know he got a loss to Janikowski in KSW, man, a split decision one. That's also his only loss, I think. But I don't know too much about him. The only thing that why I watched him is like he got the same last name as Alexander. You know what I mean? So that's why he jumped out to me. But I'm not really familiar with him, man, to be really honest.
Yeah. No, I'm with you on that one. All right. What else we got here, Marcel? We'll go to the next fight here. The next fight would be... It's in the main event? Oh, wow. We're there already. Okay. So we reached it. We reached the main event. Crazy, right? We did 15 fights, guys. Stephen Thompson against Kevin Holland. Odds for this fight. Kevin Holland favored. Minus 150, plus 130 Thompson. Thoughts?
Yeah, it's also beautiful that we have 9 prelims in 3 hours, man. So not a lot of commercial shit and all that. And that's great. Yeah, this fight, man. What can we say about it? You know, I mean... Stephen Thompson is getting older. You know, he lost his last 2 fights, but those were against grapplers in Gilbert Burns and Bilal Muhammad. Now he's going to fight Kevin Holland, who is everything but a grappler. Kevin Holland lost his last fight against Khamzat Chimaev. He retired after that. We both knew that was bullshit, or it was some kind of negotiation tactic from him. And it paid off, you know. He got the main event. He got a huge chance against Stephen Thompson, who's still top 10 in the division. Holland ain't even ranked. I mean, maybe Holland will try to get it to the ground at some moment, but I don't see it happening. I think Thompson keeps the distance, picking his shots, and he can do that for 5 rounds, you know. So... And Holland, yeah, he can knock him out, but I think Thompson will keep his distance, man. It's not like I think Thompson got knocked out against Anthony Pettis, and that was in the fight. He was pretty much doing very well, and he got a 1-shot knockout. But I don't see it happening this time. Man, I'm taking Thompson decision, man. I think he still can do that.
Sorry to cut you off.
No problem.
The odds, I think they opened it as a pick of minus 110. So I wasn't sure which way the public would go with this. I think it's a hard fight to call, man, honestly, because, you know, they're both at different spots of their career. That's the problem I have here. Because if it was just Thompson, like, honestly, if it was like 3 years ago when he was kind of like fighting Woodley and all those guys, like, I would have to pick him because he was on his game, right? But, like, it's just hard to know where he is right now. He's coming off 2 losses, but to grapplers, right? Now he's fighting a guy who can strike, but also grapple a little bit. It's not like Holland's going to, like, take him down, I don't think. But if the fight did get to the ground, I think he could submit him, right?
Can you hold him there?
Yeah, I don't think he could hold him there, but I think like if he rocked him and then grabbed his neck, he could choke him out like that. Yeah. Thompson, great striker. We know that, Marcel. Like in the past, like he's did well against in these striker fights, like the Jeff Neal fight, Vicente Luque. The Pettis fight, you're right. He was winning until he got caught, but that's a little worrisome here. I'm not gonna lie, man, because it was like a crazy unorthodox Superman punch off the cage in that fight. It was one of the best knockouts of all time, in my opinion. Actually, very underrated knockout. And Holland's got that unorthodox striking ability, right? Like I think he definitely could clip Stephen Thompson in this fight, and Thompson's getting up there in age, 39. It's a competitive fight. I'm leaning towards Holland though, Marcel, because again, the youth, the unorthodox way he fights, and also the grappling advantage, because I do think he's the better grappler, surprisingly. I know a lot of his fights he gets taken down. No way, obviously, Thompson takes him down, right? That's the thing. Like Thompson or Holland, most of his fights, Marcel, the losses, right? What's he worried about? He's worried about getting taken down. He doesn't have to worry about that at all here. In fact, he could be the guy shooting takedowns, or like I said, looking to like hurt his opponent or catching him in a scramble or something, getting the neck. I just think he's got more ways to win. I think he can knock him out, submit him. Decision probably not for Holland. I think if it goes a distance, probably Thompson would win on the scorecards. But I think Holland could finish him. So I'm going to go with Holland, man. I'm glad we got some little bit of disagreement here at the end, Marcel, because I think for the most part we agreed. There was a few fights I think we're a little bit off on, but yeah, overall, I mean, I think we agreed on a lot of the fights, but this one, we're going to be a little bit at odds against.
We had the difference with Michael Johnson against Diakiese, I think.
That one, Tuivasa, Pavlovich, we've had different picks, and what's another one?
That's pretty much it. No.
Rojo and Marcel. I picked Rojo. You picked Marcel.
Yeah,
you said you're on the fence too, right?
Yeah. I'm still.
Okay, so the consensus dog, we both took, because people like to know this. We both took Phil Rowe, I think, right?
Yeah, we did.
So that would be the consensus dog, which is interesting because honestly, Marcel, I feel like more times than not, when we both have the dog, I'm tweeting something on Saturday night saying the consensus dog on them. Who was the last one you couldn't tweet about it because they follow you on Twitter?
Marina Moroz against Maya.
Yeah. I'm like, yeah, Marcel, we got we got Jennifer Maya, right? And you're like, bro, I can't retweet it. Like Marina follows me on here, and like I can't.
Marina likes a lot, so I'm not gonna retweet like I picked against her. That's nasty,
That's so funny. That's so funny. Anyways, yeah, I think like for the most part we agreed on a lot of the fights. There's a lot of big chalk on this card too. Some smaller chalk. Those are the fights I'll be targeting, like the Ribas fight because we both liked her there, for instance. Anyway, it should be a good card. We get a couple last comments here, Marcel, and then we're gonna end the show, and then we'll start a new one. We'll just do PFL recap. We'll do some fight announcements. It'll be a short one. If you guys have any last second questions, you don't want to join the next chat, it's totally awesome. Throw them in the chat right now. We'll answer them, okay? Well, poor Robbie pulled a guard after you get hit flush and started to start swinging irresponsibly. Yeah, for sure. By the way, I saw Garbrandt got some crazy tattoo on his face or something. He got like a bear on his face. Did you see that?
Didn't he got that last time already?
Oh, I don't know. I saw MMA Mania. I think it was them. Probably like Alex.
I saw it as well.
You saw that, right? He's got like a bear beside his ear. It looks awful. Like it does not look good. Marcus, who's your favorite dog at UFC Orlando? We both picked Phil Rowe. I'm picking him. I took Tuivasa. I think he's got a chance to win, guys. And Rojo I took. Again, that's not a super confident one, but I favored the experience. We talked about it. If you want to hear it back, go back and listen. There's a few other fights where I think there's some live dogs. I know Marcel said Michael Johnson. That was another dog he picked. And I want to see you picked one more. Is that it? I think that might have been it, eh? Yeah, and then and you picked Stephen Thompson too, so that's another dog in the main event. So you picked 3 and I picked 3. We both picked 3 dogs. So and one of them was Phil Rowe, each of us. So that's interesting. I don't know. I just feel like whenever we kind of like are on the same page with the dog, I feel like that's a good thing. Doesn't mean he'll win, but I feel like it's a good thing. We're still crossing our fingers.
Like DMX would say, a dog is a dog.
You guys think Wonderboy can be a Hall of Famer? No, I don't think so. No hardware. His best wins are guys like I guess his best wins Masvidal. I mean, it's a decent win. Actually, no, he beat Whitaker. Sorry, but as a 172. Hall of Famer, no chance. I don't think. You think so or no?
No, man. He's just that kind of guy who, like a lot of these guys, who could have been a Hall of Famer, but just didn't get that final step to be there.
Yep.
But he's a respectable guy, man. So I mean, he's a mainstay, like I always say.
I like that word. I'm with you on that. No, I kind of feel the same way. Any update on Blagoy and Tibura? Haven't heard. Yeah, it's a tiger. Sorry, it's not a bear. It looks really bad, but I'm not going to criticize another man. I shouldn't do that. Anyways, I think that's it for this podcast, Marcel. We'll end this one. And
I want to.
Devin Bonner, is he in the Hall of Fame? Or just the fights in the Hall of Fame?
I think he is.
He actually is? Okay.
Yeah.
I just think that's a different situation. I feel like it's a different situation with him, you know? But I will say this, like, anytime they say, like, Cub Swanson's a Hall of Famer or, like, Doo Choi's a Hall of Famer, like, that's not true. Like, there are fights in the Hall of Fame, but they're not in the Hall of Fame. You know, there's some guys that are fighters, like Forrest Griffin's in the Hall of Fame. His fight's in the Hall of Fame with Bonner. But there's some guys, Marcelo, I'm just saying, like, they call them Hall of Famers. Like, even our boy Frank Trigg from MMA Oddsbreaker, the referee, you know, he says UFC Hall of Famer. And I love Frank, but it's like, I don't blame him for saying that. I'll tell you right now. Honestly, if I was in the same spot, I might say I'm a Hall of Famer too. But looking from an outside perspective, Marcelo, I don't consider it a Hall of Famer. I consider the fight a Hall of Fame fight. If that makes sense.
Yeah, I agree with you. By the way, Georgie asking there, we both went with
What's up, Georgie?
We both.
Georgie, he's gonna hate us, man, because I swear we picked against Giga. That was not. That was when he fought. Who was it when he fought?
Calvin.
I picked
Giga there.
No, against Barboza when he fought Barboza. So we both made a horrible pick there. I was so embarrassed because we had our boy Georgie in the chat, the Georgia MMA journalist. No, we both picked Jack Hermansson, but I think that's a different spot. I mean, there's so much experience, like
short notice as well.
Yeah, and short notice for Roman. I did see a picture of Cheyenne floating around. She had like the traditional Georgian like clothing on. Did you see that? Some people were posting on Twitter. They said that Cheyenne's ready for Roman Dolidze fight week. So I think that's kind
show
of
me if you.
I saw it on Twitter. If you just type it in, I think it'll come up. I can't remember who tweeted. I saw it on the Twitter earlier. I thought it was funny. Who'd you guys have in Hill Ducote? We both picked Ducote, but I do think the Hill's kind of live there as well. Bonner was one fight. Part of the fight that saved UFC. What has Wonderboy done? Nothing. That's the thing. Like I love Wonderboy. I'm not trying to be mean. He's like the nicest guy in the sport. He really is a nice guy. He's a good person. He's a good fighter, but there's no way he's a Hall of Famer. Like he doesn't have a great record in the UFC. I guess that doesn't matter as much because there's guys with sub 500 records in the Hall of Fame. But the point is, like, you know, he beat Whitaker 8 years ago when Whitaker was a welterweight. You know, that's his best win. And then Masvidal, he beat, you know, Matt. Well, the Masvidal win was good, actually. I'll give him that because that was before Masvidal went on that streak, right? But I do think that him not winning that belt from Woodley is what's going to keep him, you know, from ever becoming like that next level. If he had beaten Woodley and was a champion, it's different. But he had the draw, he had the close loss. He probably should have won one of those fights, though. I'll tell you that right now. That was 6-7 years ago now, Marcelo. You know, it's crazy, right? The time fucking flies, man. I remember watching those fights, man. It's crazy. Yeah, guys.
Me too. I didn't even know where I was. So,
it's so scary how fast the time goes by, guys. I'll tell you, like, it's especially like now that I've got like a child and everything, like the time goes by even quicker. Like, you know, she'll be 2 in the next year. Like, it's crazy, man. Like, I remember when she was like, this is the womb or whatever, man.
Yeah, I mean, it's absolutely nuts, but they always say when this fight between was it Esparza against Joanna and RDA against Pettis come up, that's a card where I throw up because I had bad food that night. So I always remember that. It's always like when somebody mentions that card, it's like, oh yeah, that's the last time I threw up in my life. That's really nasty, but that's how you remember things, right? Yeah. When something happens in your life. I mean, you probably know as well when your daughter was born around what card that was. You know what I mean?
Oh, so, I remember what card it was. I know. I'll tell you right now. It was Cyril Gane and Derek Lewis.
Yeah. That's what I mean. You know,
it was that was the card. I remember because I was in the hospital we were waiting for the doctor to come in, and like it was taking hours because they're so understaffed, as you know, right? So I'm like, all right, I'm just gonna do my work. I want to do my tape study. So I was sitting there doing the Gane and Lewis fight. I remember picking Gane by knockout. It was a good. I guess the study worked on that one. Although it's not like you needed a tape study for that fight. There were some other fights, I think, but yeah. That's crazy, man. I know exactly what you're saying. Like, I'm actually one of those guys, like, I can remember where it was for, like, every card I've ever watched. Can you? Yeah. I remember where it was for every card.
Many,
crazy,
many.
Yeah.
It's like, I have that with football, yeah, soccer for you guys, but football matches for my favorite team. Like, when somebody passed away or something, my mom is like, do you remember what year that was? I was like, I don't remember the year, but I know which game was at that weekend. So I can go back to that weekend and I know which year it was. You know what I mean? Super stupid, but I remember these kind of things for that, and it's actually kind of handy, you know, when people don't know the year anymore when something happened. I can always relate to that and can go back.
Yeah, that fight took place in that year, so I remember. Yeah. I'm the same as you, man. A couple other comments here, guys. Georgie, all good guys cheering Saturday night. Yeah, your boy's gonna probably beat us again. Beating in the UFC also depends on how impactful your career. It's on the Hall of Fame. Yeah, I'm with you on that. All right, I think that's it for this one, guys. We're going to end this show, but I'm going to start a new podcast in a few minutes here. just doing a PFL recap and then some finances. It's totally optional. We'd love to have you guys in it though. Marcelo, plug your stuff really quick. Let's get out of here.
BitMarcel24 on Twitter and Instagram, and my articles on Eurosport.nl mixed martial arts section.
Twitter at MMAOB Podcast, MMAOB iTunes, Spotify, all those places, guys. You get your show. Like, share, subscribe, tell your friends about it. Always appreciate it. Bookies.com. Got my best bets coming up tomorrow for the card. Actually swept the last card, so it was really good. So I'm hoping the same thing happens this week. Miami news.com for news, and then MMAOBsBigger.com for all of your fight odds. All right, guys, we're going to start a new podcast here in just about a minute, and I'll talk to you in a sec to go down UFC. PFL and some UFC fight announcements. And there's a good question here.
Yeah.
You know what? Let's save this for the next show, okay? What's your guys' process of breaking down fight and starting tape? It's a great question. I want to answer it in the next podcast. I'll talk to you guys in a sec, all right? Just hold on for the next show. Bye.